evening and welcome to CYC News for the 3rd of November 2019 and the 23rd of Berber 1736 AM. I'm Anastasia Attia. In today's headlines, Lebanon's Hariri resigns after almost 2 weeks of protests. UK set general election on December the 12th in bid to break Brexit deadlock. The death toll in Iraq protest climbs to 63. Satellite captures rare pictures of atmosphere gravity waves. CDC says deaths linked to vaping often involve THC product, not nicotine. Messi eclipses Ronaldo's club goal tally after scoring a brace for Barcelona. But first to Lebanon, where Prime Minister Saad Hariri announced his resignation on Tuesday, giving in to the demands of protesters who have staged nationwide demonstrations for nearly 2 weeks. The three-time Prime Minister has led a national unity government which included some of his political adversaries for less than 2 years. In recent months, the country saw rapid economic decline, ballooning debt and rising prices. On October 17, the government proposed imposing a tax on WhatsApp calls along with other austerity measures, parking protests that paralysed the country. In his resignation speech, Hariri said, "I can't hide this from you. I have reached a dead end. To all my political peers, our responsibility today is how to protect Lebanon and to uplift the economy. Today, there is a serious opportunity and we should not waste it." Lebanon has been under lockdown since the protests began. Banks and schools have been closed for 12 days, while protesters blocked major routes throughout the tiny eastern Mediterranean nation. Scores of protesters in downtown Beirut cheered as Hariri announced his departure. At their peak, hundreds of thousands of people took to their streets to protest government corruption on Sunday. Over the last week, protests have dwindled in number, concentrating on road closures on main routes as the economic crisis has deepened. Over to the UK now, and Britain will head to the polls amid the country's worst political crisis for generations after lawmakers finally agreed to hold a landmark general election on December 12. The election, which Prime Minister Boris Johnson has attempted to secure for nearly 2 months, was sealed after the Labour Party dropped its opposition and voted in support of the government's bill. It will come as the country seeks a path out of his crippled deadlock over Brexit, the issue certain to dominate the 6-week campaign season. Addressing the House of Commons on Tuesday before a vote was approved at the 4th attempt, Boris Johnson said there is only one way to restore the esteem in which our democracy is held and to recover the respect in which Parliament should be held by the people of this country. MPs approved the bill that set the election date by 438 votes to 20 after a lengthy day of debate over the precise date of the poll and an unsuccessful attempt to reduce the minimum voting age from 18 to 16. The Prime Minister has also formally accepted the European Union's offer of yet another Brexit extension, with the new agreed deadline of the 31st of January 2020. To Iraq now, and at least 63 people have died as protests intensify in the country, with security forces using tear gas as live bullets to repel demonstrators on Saturday. 3 people were shot dead in al-Nasiriyah and another 3 people died from injuries in Baghdad after they were hit in the head by tear gas canisters fired by security forces. Almost 2,600 people have been injured since protests flared up again on Friday over unemployment, government corruption, and a lack of basic services. Saturday's violence comes a day after 12 people were killed at the Badr political party office in southern Iraqi city of Diwaniyah after it was set ablaze. No staff members were among the dead. In a statement released Friday, Iraq's Joint Operations Command said, "While the country is witnessing demonstrations to demand rights guaranteed by the Iraqi constitution, some have exploited these demonstrations by killing citizens and injuring others, burned and looted public and private property without any conscience." Iraqi President Barham Salih has previously condemned using lethal force against protesters. In a televised speech on October the 7th, he said, "Targeting peaceful demonstrators and security forces by live bullets and targeting the media and journalists is unacceptable in Iraq. that we have embraced and pledged to make it a democracy in which the rights and freedom are respected. Back home to Australia now, where a rarely seen natural phenomenon has been captured on camera as it pulses through clouds over the Indian Ocean. Atmospheric gravity waves can be seen in satellite images taken by Australian Weather Forecast Service, Weather Zone, and on Monday and Tuesday. The images show the waves spreading out from the coast of Western Australia, sending ripples through clouds over the ocean. The gravity waves were triggered by thunderstorms with cold air flowing out, resulting in a disturbance in the atmosphere. Ben Domensino, a meteorologist at Weather Zone, said the atmosphere is a big body of gas that acts like a fluid. It is exactly the mechanism as when a rock is thrown into the water, then the wave travels out from that source. When you've got winds from two directions interacting with each other, this can also cause gravity waves. Invincible waves are quite common in the atmosphere and are typically unseen unless they cause motion in clouds that can be detected by satellites. The surges do not pose any danger, but pilots should be cautious about rising and sinking air when flying through the weather pattern. The satellite also captured images of a sandstorm blowing over the dry Pilbara region in Western Australia. To some health news, and according to the US Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, people who died as a result of a mysterious outbreak of vaping-related lung injury often use products exclusively containing THC, the main psychoactive substance in cannabis. Among 19 such deaths with available data on what substances had been vaped, 63% reported exclusive use of products containing THC. In total, there have been 36 vaping-related deaths identified in 24 states across the US, and as of October 22, over 1,600 lung injury cases associated with e-cigarette products. According to the CDC, these patients are mostly young, while males, with nearly 80 under the age of 35. CDC Director Dr. Robert R. Redfield said it is evident from today's report that these lung injuries are disproportionately affecting young people. As CDC receives additional data, a more defined picture of those impacted is taking shape. These new insights can help bring us a step closer to identifying the cause or causes of this outbreak. Previous reports have highlighted the prevalence of THC-containing products among the outbreak. According to the latest numbers, based on 867 patients, 86% reported using products containing THC, while 64% reported using products containing nicotine. The CDC recommends that you refrain from using any e-cigarette or vaping products that contain THC while the investigation continues, as a specific cause or substance implicated in the outbreak is still unknown. And in sport, when Messi scored twice in Barcelona's 5-1 thrashing of Valladolid in La Liga midweek, the Argentinian moved ahead of longtime rival Cristiano Ronaldo's on club goals with 608 in 695 games. All have come while playing for Barcelona. Ronaldo has scored 607 goals for Sporting Lisbon, Manchester United, Real Madrid and Juventus in 813 matches. After the game, Messi didn't discuss his goal-scoring record, but Barcelona manager Ernesto Valverde said he's got this talent nobody else has. He can get past anybody. It's not just a question of an individual move. We have these times in training. You think he's going to pass to the left or right, but he passes somewhere you can't anticipate. You only see it with this type of player. And that's all for CYC News. A reminder that you can watch this news bulletin again throughout the week on YouTube. I'm Anastasia Atia from the CYC studios in Sydney, Australia. Have a good night.